My family came to Western Australia when I was just 2 years old. Of course, when we first arrived, there weren't any trams or cars back then. Not like today. The first tram that we had came to the Hyde Park Hotel. Then it would come up to what they called Pell's Corners. Then it went past the old home on Angove Street, where I lived with my husband. The number 22 used to come right past my house. The last one was in 1958. My family lived in so many places in North Perth. We were in Daphne Street for a time, and Blake Street. That's where Nurse Hobley, the midwife, brought one of my brothers into the world. When we lived up on Maple Street, you could look out and see forever. The tallest building back then was the Perth Town Hall, and the roads were just gravel. I went to the North Perth school from the time I was 7 years old. It was like a bush track from our home to the school. It took us through the Woodville Reserve along the way. It was just a scrubby reserve then. The bowling club and tennis club are there now, of course. I was one of their earliest members. That's where I was, when my eldest stepson came running up to find me. He said, "Dad's had a stroke and he's in the Mount Hospital." And that's where he died. But before that happened, there was nothing at all in the Woodville Reserve. There were gates on each side of the park. Sometimes the naughty boys at school would put bricks and stones against the gate. You couldn't open it. The school's headmaster, Mr. Hamill, used to really punish them for doing that because it was so dreadful. After my father was killed in the Great War, I had to help my mother raise my younger brothers. After school, I would have to call into the post office and collect the mail. Then I'd go to the grocer's. There used to be a store on the corner of Angove and Daphne Street. It didn't matter what you bought there, he'd always say, "Anything else besides?" I was a member of St. Hilda's Anglican Church congregation for 96 years. When I first started there, it was just a little wooden building. That's going back a ways. They didn't build the big church until 1915. I always sat in the same seat, second row from the front on the left. I met my husband at St. Hilda's. We married at the church, of course. The reception in those days was at Keogh's Hall in Newcastle Street. Then we bought 97 Angove Street. And that home is just as beautiful as ever. The fence painted white, and a pergola out the front. It was just around the corner from the church. After I was married, I still sat in my same pew, with Carl and my 2 little stepsons. Then Carl passed on, and then the 2 boys. But I still sat in the same place as ever, second row on the left. North Perth was such a lovely place to live.